Minutes of the October 12th meeting.
Oh, okay.
Do we have any additions, corrections?
I made an addition and correction, which is in there.
It's already in this one?
Yes.
Where was it?
Top one with John Davies,
And
which I had neglected to put in.
and I don't have them in front of me, but I think
Right there.
right there, I think you had Jackson here at a meeting, at the last meeting.
Jackson wasn't here last week.
He wasn't here at the last,
Now it was the other.
He pushed it off on his subordinate,
right, so it wasn't him here.
You did the.
who had a tough time.
Yeah. Through the ringer?
Yeah, a little bit.
C. Jackson.
Don't, hope we didn't chase him off.
Presented by Jackson on the back of this page.
Yeah,
Okay.
For
Yeah,
BSO
the other.
to
the other
Hawthorne,
one.
presented
Okay,
by
I've got
Jackson
the other.
Alberti. Yeah, it wasn't him.
We'll do that.
Everything else looked good.
Okay. Okay.
all right. Make a motion, anyone, to accept or change?
I make a motion, we accept the minutes.
Second?
Second.
Any opposed? All in favor?
Hi.
Aye,
One abstention, I wasn't here.
all right. Tuesday, the 26th, today.
That's good.
I don't know what you said. Oh, is that this?
All right. So
Informal.
I heard from Brent, not going to be on the call.
Didn't hear you.
I heard from Brent White that he is not going to be on the call tonight, so he is not here. So this top one is not there, but Dean Ulsher is here. He, if you remember, has the property across from Brookside Lane that's in the middle of the wetland on the south side of Interlake and Crossroad. Right,
Yep,
right in the middle,
yep.
South side?
south side. It's the one house on the south side that's.
Oh, it's in the
right-
swamp.
Right, exactly. And the town was doing some work on the culvert. And Dean, who obviously has significant concerns about water levels and things in his property, wanted to make sure that we were on top of the beaver deceivers that were there.
Where,
Right.
are they there? I don't even know where they are.
I don't know,
They're there, believe me,
but,
Far out, far,
That's-
always out?
somewhere.
but that's what
I can
he,
tell you, I
that's
can
what
tell
he's.
you we're there.
All right, you got the floor, sir.
Okay, yeah, Don LaFountain installed a beaver deceiver like 20 years ago, and it's been working fine. And then this year with all of the heavy rain, the water level has been getting higher and higher, and I've just been keeping my eye on it because, I didn't know if that meant it was just because there was so much water from the rain or if there was a problem with the drainage. And then on the 16th, Hugh Page was there with the backhoe fixing the culvert, and I begged him to please give me some time to sort of make sure that it wasn't going to do any damage to the pipe that's draining the beaver deceiver into the culvert. And the problem is Don LaFountain is no longer in the business of dealing with these things, and he's passed me on to somebody else who I've had a very hard time getting a hold of. His name is Mike Callahan. I don't know if you've ever dealt with him with anybody else's problems. So he's promising he's going to come and do a site visit in a week. But I gather the town was there again today, solving, because there's it's backing up in that culvert, and I understand that's a problem that needed to be fixed. But I just want to make you aware that I'm on the case with trying to make sure that the beaver deceiver is properly maintained. It's been a good long time without any trouble, and it's just been a hard time to get somebody to come and do the maintenance for it.
All right. Yeah, with the amount of water we've had so far this last 3-4 months.
The town was there this afternoon. I saw them there.
All right, if you want to keep us informed, we'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
We'll do a drive-by when we go by that way and stop and look, but I don't know. He was aware that there's a situation there, so
Yeah, I let him know. Yeah, I told him, I just wanted to make sure that whatever was necessary in terms of solving the backup wasn't going to do damage to the pipe.
All
And
right.
because I just don't know how much the pipe goes into the culvert, you know.
It doesn't go onto the road, the whole pipe assembly.
As I understand it, the pipe goes into the culvert, right?
It should do something like that.
I'm not if it's been there, how many years? 20 years?
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it.
Didn't stick my finger in it ever.
Take some pictures.
Yeah,
Well, it's all underwater, so I can't tell.
Oh. Well, if there's water coming out the other side of the road, then it's sort of working.
Well, I guess that was the problem. I guess it wasn't coming out the other side.
All right.
We can check it out in the morning, just drive by and see if the water's flowing and take it.
Yeah,
We'll look at it, get back, and do we have a phone number for you, sir?
I think so. Yeah, I sent it to Sally, and
All right, that's fine then.
and yeah. So anyway, Mike Callahan's coming for a site visit on the 2nd of November. He's the new beaver deceiver guy.
All right.
Beaver Solutions is his company. They're in Amherst.
right,
We've dealt with them before.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we'll keep us informed if you start to go under, give us a call.
All right. Thank
Do you
you.
have a time for your meeting on the 2nd?
10 a.m.
Do somebody want to go?
I think it's fine.
I will make it if I can.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get somebody there, just to have a better sense of what's going on.
Okay.
If it changes, let us know, please.
I will. Mhm. All right.
So on that note, we have another beaver problem, as you know, Ron, up on Route 7.
Yes,
And
by Lee
everybody
Road.
except for the governor of Massachusetts has been informed about it. And now they've been told, well, it'll be a couple of weeks before anybody gets there.
Different from the one in the south, you say up on the 7, you're talking about the south, the 7 south?
Yeah, it's the
On the
corner
corner of Lee Road and
road and Route 7, bog on one side, and the problem is the other side, the east side, the Scourins have a home there, and their foundation drains drain downhill, which is great when it's downhill, but now all of a sudden it's become,
They might end up
water
draining.
table's higher.
Essentially what the story is that the beaver pond might end up in their basement.
Has anyone seen have you or anyone been there to look at the pond where,
I have been there, I have photographed it, and,
is it,
eventually it's gonna get up over Lee Road unless somebody does something about it. District 1 was maintaining it regularly. And, I went down, I was driving down to town one day and there was a Mass Highway Department truck parked across the street and there was this guy standing there scratching his head. So I pulled in and I said, these people have been complaining for some time and trying to talk to District 1, but, they're not getting any action out of this. And it's not the beaver device that goes between the west side of Route 7 and the east side of Route 7. It is a beaver device that is, when you pull into that little turnoff there, you'll notice that there's a power line that goes down directly to the east and it feeds like where Ellie Aronoff used to live and, that whole top of Yale Hill thing. And halfway down there is a beaver dam. And that beaver dam is what's backing everything up into that swamp. So it comes from Shaggy Dog, underneath Wallace Road, over into the bog, and then the bog and all of its resources of water, come out. And that particular beaver control device is not functioning properly. And then, which the state maintains, supposedly. And then the other one down under the power line is not. And I'll take you there if you want, but it's not functioning. So it all backs up. And when I went in there and talked to the guy, he was an older gentleman. I guess I'm an older gentleman, so I shouldn't say that, but, and I said, what's the story here? I said, I'm on the Stockbridge Concom, and I said, it's not our job really to deal with this, but we definitely get calls, and I get calls because these people happen to be friends of mine. And he more or less said that, the furloughing of the old timers and because of COVID and the newcomers coming in,
Hasn't stayed the same.
right. So, Smithy's been called, Tri-Town Health has been called, Charlie Kenny's been over there, I've been over there. I mean, if anybody wants to go take a look at the device that's causing the problem, I'd be happy to give you a guide, be a guide. So.
All right.
But it sounds like it's supposed to be the state that's taking care of it.
Pardon me?
The state is supposed to be taking care of it. It's their,
Of course they are.
their deal.
Who's the guy that comes in here?
Find it.
All right, we'll come up on with that later.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta call someone about something else anyway, so.
In 2 weeks after a storm like this, it's going to be a little bit wet basement time.
Everybody has a wet basement at the moment.
Well, they don't have their house below the water table.
Believe it or not, I actually do.
I know you do.
So, yeah,
That's why I brought it up.
yeah.
There's a number of them on Lake Drive if you want to go look at new cellar holes. All right, public hearings. Certificate of compliance. We're going to just pass
Still
on
waiting
these.
on that.
Graylock Design, Graylock Rob,
Hey, everybody.
did you send us anything?
I did. I
No,
sent you a letter, but let me go on record formally requesting that we withdraw the notice of intent for Triwalk LLC on Bean Hill Road without prejudice to allow us to have our consultants get up to speed, to get the requisite information we need to begin to satisfy some of the comments from Mark Stinson and DEP. I've spoken to Mark about this, and he feels it's a great way to go. We need to do some survey work, and we need to petition FEMA and a few other courses of action that'll probably take a little while. So we're going to request to withdraw without prejudice, and we will refile the NOI once we have all the necessary information ready and available.
Thank you.
we haven't gotten it yet, Rob.
Sally, I apologize. I sent it earlier this evening. I'm
Okay.
a bit behind schedule, but I sent it to the Stockbridge Concom email address.
And
Okay, maybe not the right one, though. Our new one is Conservation Commission at stockbridge-ma.gov.
I'll send it there. I'll also drop a hard copy off in Town Hall.
Okay, great, thank you.
And Sally, do you have the comments from Mark? Didn't see.
It was a really long time ago,
It was a really long time.
yeah.
It's been a while.
Who's
And yes, I
Tanglewood
do,
Road?
but it was a long time ago.
Okay.
Nothing from them yet. We're working,
Oh, can we stop there?
yeah.
I've been on that ride numerous times, and I doubt that the wetlands have changed. And I don't know if they have them marked appropriately because I mean, Jamie and I were gonna go do a train ride and that didn't work out. I think we should just, until next year.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But I mean, for it to keep coming up, it's just like,
Yeah, but it
I
keeps coming
understand.
up because it hasn't been withdrawn.
I understand that, but we need to get somebody from Housatonic Railroad to say withdraw it or something because
Oh, isn't it likely that they did it without you guys?
they did it.
I went the last time.
Yeah.
That's right, you did.
They did spray already?
Oh,
They didn't spray?
I'm sure they sprayed.
Yeah, they sprayed.
It looks like they sprayed if you go down to Cherry Street and you look up and down.
except that they don't have permission to do it.
All right,
I mean, they could say we weren't there or something. Jamie was.
It doesn't matter whether you were there or whose fault it was. They haven't got a permit.
Well, then, write them a letter and tell them that they need to show up or shut up. This has been on here. It's gonna be on here all winter until next spring when we get another one.
and I've talked to Mike, and we're working on this. He's got a form where if they haven't responded within 21 days, I believe he said, we can, I don't know. Wait, let me get back to you on the next meeting on that. I mean, he's got stuff coming for me. Mackinac Terrace Association, stairs,
Thing.
nothing from them either, so they're gonna come back next year.
It appears as though, when I look at that situation, that they didn't do any repair.
They did.
No, they haven't touched it.
Yeah.
They never got back to us. We went to a site visit, talked to them, explained what we needed, what we wanted, and that was the end of it. He had it had to do with funding or the association's agreement to fund the project, and evidently the one person that we talked to did not have the authority to implement the whole project, so. See, that'll come back to us. I think we could probably cross this one off too. Tanglewood, stormwater bylaw. You find a road this time?
Yes.
Oh, there's a road.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jackson Alberti with Foresight Land Services. For the record, here to represent the applicant, Tanglewood and Boston Symphony Orchestra. So I believe you're all relatively familiar with the project at this point. And there were several questions at the last meeting, which I was not here for, but I've been informed on those. One of which being the 6-inch gap at the bottom of all the proposed fencing. And I looked back through our order of conditions for this proposed project, and it didn't contain any specific condition related to that, but we did state in DEP comments, our response to DEP comments, which was officially submitted to the commission, that all of the fencing involved in this project would have that 6-inch gap to allow wildlife passage underneath. So that was officially submitted and I'm sure noted in the minutes, but there is not a specific condition on that order. So that's something you would have to be sure Tanglewood complies with once all this is constructed. And I've also added this detail specifically to this plan, which has a typical fencing profile and states a 6-inch minimum gap at the bottom of the fence to existing grade. And I've got some copies of that here for the commission for your records. They have today's date on it, so you could specifically date those or note that in the minutes that that one has been revised as October 26th. The second of the issues I was keyed in on were the construction of a roadway and how far down that would be continuing toward the lake.
Where does it come from?
Where does it come from? So it would be access from the Lionsgate parking lot, kind of like we did at the site visit, around the south end of those trees there. And then a grass on gravel roadway would be constructed, basically only to this section right here, where this clump of trees is that's proposed to remain.
My question is, why do they need a road there?
They don't really need a roadway. This is just kind of shown for their temporary access to bring all of the excavation from this pond down here. And then all of that will be revegetated. The only intention to have a permanent roadway is right here, basically right in front of the gate and within the gate leading to the utilities here. So that's the only section that'll be like permanently gravelled. The rest of this is just like a temporary roadway to transport all of this material that's coming out of here, the 1,575 cubic yards down to this area there.
Which area where?
Down at the, so this is the Lions Gate lot here in
Right, I
Stockbridge.
got it. I was there.
And so right down at the base of the slope, they'll be distributing that along the where it starts to drop off there and kind of work that into the slope.
How far from the lake is that?
At its closest point, well, the tree line is at 305 feet from the lake. So that would be at a bare minimum about 315 feet away at its closest point. The majority of which will just be kind of right at the edge of the existing field there. And then just kind of worked into the slope and graded out gradually.
Not that it's any of our business, but did anybody talk about taking some of that material and filling it into the places where people get stuck when they're in that parking lot?
I did mention it to Bruce, and you mentioned it to Bruce, and I don't think there's been any, follow-up from the head honchos over it.
I don't think it makes any difference to us. I just
Yeah.
thought maybe that would be a helpful thing for you guys.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of places they could use it.
RW's been in the business.
So what's this distance?
From the roadway to the lake, the proposed pond there, that would be, so that'd be maybe 25 feet at most.
And what's the square, and this is pervious right now?
Yeah.
This is all grass currently,
And
yeah.
it's gonna be impervious?
No, the idea would just be kind of a grass on gravel area, so just kind of two gravel strips basically for the wheels to go on, so that any continual traffic through there doesn't start to create big wheel ruts in the grass. So it would just be a grass on gravel section of roadway there. So ideally, still pretty pervious.
What would be the distance of that?
That would be. So that would be at least 120 feet long there, leading out basically from where the well is out to where the proposed gate will be, if it'll be enclosing this whole pond. So it's not a very long section of gravel roadway that they're proposing.
So fencing is the yellow line?
No, sorry, that's our temporary controls. The actual fencing is this circle
And where does it go here?
right here. There'll be a gate at the roadway,
Okay.
and then that follows the edge of existing vegetation around here. And that'll enclose eventually the entirety of both the ponds. So yeah, I think those were the two issues that have been communicated to me that you had some questions about, and I'd be happy to answer.
I don't recall a roadway being mentioned before, so questions with that.
I mean, it was permitted in the order of conditions. This was the plan that was approved under the order of conditions. Temporary gravel roadway there.
Any other questions? Motion to close the hearing?
Yeah, I'll second
All those in favor? Any opposed? Aye.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good one.
it. Too.
All right, certificate of compliance
Yeah, Brent is not here, so that will be continued.
continued again. Jones Beach, Graylock.
Hi again.
So what color rocks?
If you guys would allow, would share your screen, I could throw a couple drawings up on the screen and we could take a walk through this, unless everyone's seen it and is familiar with it enough that we don't need drawings, but it's your call.
Screen I'd like to share is
open.
Okay, you're good. Good to go, Rob. Share it. Give it a shot.
So this is the project over on Jones Beach. It's next to the Causeway and the Mackinac Terrace Associations. I think everybody's pretty familiar with 37 Mackinac Road. What exists currently and is outlined here on these dashes is a set of old railroad tied timbers that are in place, and they come up to this dash line. There's a break, and then there's 2 or 3 more up in this area. The applicant wants to remove those old timber ties and replace them with large stepping stones to come up to here to a landing and then a little bit further. We will stabilize the embankment with rockery or boulders, and then plant in and around the boulders with pollinating perennials so that we can stabilize the site. There currently exists a reasonable amount of boulders there already with the timber tie wall or the timber tie steps. So our proposal is really quite simple. Remove the steps, discard them, and replace them with stone steps up into the same area as the timber ties, and then plant and stabilize.
Rob, do you have any idea of what the square footage of those stones all combined is?
I don't, because our intention is to use whatever field stone we can get from various projects, and they're going to range in size, probably 3 to probably 4 feet wide, give or take 4 to 5 feet wide, and the treads on them will probably be 18 inches. So we're looking at probably 6 square feet, give or take, per stone. I'd say there's probably 10 of them, so 60, 70, maybe 100 square feet, John, just back of the napkin figuring.
So we're going from that square footage of pervious soil to that square footage of. And I don't know, I really don't have a big problem with this, except that I think that somebody who's more knowledgeable than I am might need to take a look at what the impact of the lake might be.
I mean, the impact of the lake that's currently taking place with the creosote ties, or runoff from the stone. I'm not sure what the impact on the lake.
The runoff from the stone versus the pervious surfaces there now.
Okay.
Same thing.
Well, they're two, it's the same thing, duplicated.
Rob, you're not putting any stones in the water, are you?
No, God, no. No.
We've had some issues with stones in the water.
No stones in the water.
I think you want to take a picture of where the railroad ties end.
I think we need a site visit.
Yeah, we need a site visit.
I would like to see it.
Rob, on their drawings here, you don't do much of a detail for planting. We already going to require some planting along the shoreline because a number of trees were taken down.
Right.
We permitted, but the conditions were that we plant.
Right. So we're proposing there's 4 dead birches, and we've added 8 additional trees to what was already in the original order of conditions. So we've added additional planting.
Classes, I can't see.
Serviceberry, river birch, common larch.
Any tall
Great
trees?
trees.
Any tall trees?
They're all pretty shrubby. They're not tall trees.
Site visit?
Right.
Yeah, and we'll do a site visit, Rob. Give us your plant. I know there's a planting list on here, but
There's 3. These are 3 additional species. One is Amalanchia, which is, I'm sure everybody knows, is an indigenous plant in the Berkshires. First thing that blooms white in the spring, probably maxes out at, depending on where it's growing, 10 to 15 feet in height. Petula nigra is river birch, a great grower, probably maxes out 35 feet in height. Larix is the common larch, which is an oxymoron as it's a deciduous evergreen. Likes wet feet. Again, depending on soils, probably maxes out in height 40, 45 feet. And that's what we're proposing in addition to the ones that were referenced in the order of conditions, and I apologize, those I don't have the planting plan for pulled up.
All right,
These are in addition to those.
these that you're proposing now are in addition to the original ones. I understand.
That is correct. In addition to, correct.
We have those? Original drawings somewhere?
Yeah.
The trees on.
The files.
If you want to do it, if we're going to do a site visit, I can bring all the drawings to the site visit and we can look at all of them and where they're proposed to be planted.
That'd be good.
Okay. What's the board's favor on a day to go walk around?
I don't really have a good day this week. I don't have, I can't do it Friday, Thursday's not good. And Wednesday, tomorrow will probably never work.
We wouldn't be able to advertise it.
So it's gonna have to be the first part of next week, possibly?
Sure.
Suggestions, anyone? Anyone available?
I'm gone on the 5th.
That's one day, this one.
No,
Let's
I'm gone
Friday.
for 10 days
Monday.
to see my beloved mother, who I haven't seen in 2 years, and I'm about to turn 96.
Monday,
She can, you can take her with you.
What
this
time?
coming Monday?
Visit,
What time?
you bring her to the site.
That's good for you. What time is best for you? What's
No
best?
good time for me.
So Monday's
Usually work till 2:30.
11/1, right?
Yeah, I mean, if that's not good, I can try to do a drive-by.
Monday,
I'm good.
Time?
I'm working on that. Anybody else got Mondays available?
Not until after 3:30.
We'll have daylight savings, I believe.
Yeah.
It's 30, right?
3:30?
Works for me.
It's about 60.
Don't drive too fast.
What was the date and time?
You got a thing with vehicles.
Ron, what's the date and time?
Monday, the
It's
1st.
only down the street.
Yeah.
Just think of that.
Okay.
And everybody,
Monday at 3:30 it is.
Monday, November 1st, 3:30. I'll see everyone on site.
All right,
Very good, folks. Have a good evening.
thank you.
Bye-bye now.
ET Management Group, White Pines. Demolish, replace bridge.
what?
The bridge.
Where?
White Pines. Must be over a brook.
Bill is here.
Can you hear me?
We can.
You can.
Okay, this is Ken Boudreau from Hill Engineering, representing CT Management, who are the property managers for White Pines condominiums. The project takes place in White Pines. They have several condominium units. They have 2 units that are kind of remote from the central location. They are up on a hill across Lily Brook. So there's a private road that goes down to a 10-foot wide wooden bridge that accesses these 2 units. They requested, pardon me?
Do we have plans for this?
Right here.
Yes, let me see if I can share this.
Like drawing?
There's a map in the back.
Yeah, there should be a map. I don't have to get.
I think maybe,
Behind where the White Pines office is.
because, you know, some things never changed. Might as well be music in.
Yeah. I did supply an electronic version that did have the map in it. It's about a 22-foot span, 10-foot wide. It's basically 2 steel girders that sit on concrete abutments. And the decking is 4x6 tongue and groove wood. Our structural people did an analysis of the bridge and found that the bridge was built in '85. And due to deteriorating rust on the steel beams. The wood is rotting. We estimate that the capacity of the bridge is down about 30%, which hinders emergency vehicles to get to the 2 units, Stockbridge Fire Department's trucks. There were 2 options. One would be to strip the wood decking off, blast the steel girders, epoxy paint them, put new decking on. That's a lot of manpower, a lot of labor, a lot more intrusive to the surrounding area, the brook itself. So what they would like to do is basically the 2 concrete abutments are in very good condition. So their plan would be to strip the existing wood decking off, remove the 2 steel beams, leave both concrete abutments in place, replace the 2 steel beams with new galvanized steel, and then new wood decking, tongue and groove on top of that, bolted to the steel beams, and then replace the curbing and the railings on the side in kind. We feel that would be less intrusive. It's a lot cleaner work to just strip the decking off and pull the steel out and replace in kind. There'll be no excavating around the banking. There will be no earth removal, no disturbance of any of the resource areas. We did have Emily Stockman out there. She did provide us with a wetlands resource delineation report. It did some flagging out there.
Can I interrupt just a second? Because it sounded like nothing was delineated per request of the owners in Emily's report. There actually weren't delineations.
Pardon me?
In Emily's report, she says a few times that per request of the owners, there was not a delineation.
And, before we go on here any further, can I ask, you got this private drive here, but you don't show where the source of the private drive is. And the reason I ask is I spent 5 years of music in, York breaking all the roads all over God's creation there. And I have no idea where this is.
It's right behind what's now the office. Here where the office is, where the management office is.
Yeah.
If you go behind that building, there's a road down, there's some condos, and then it goes over a bridge, and there's 2 more condos on the right.
Never knew that.
My question was, how is this not getting filed as a notice of intent?
Because there is absolute no disturbance of any of the resource areas.
But you're crossing a river.
Yeah.
There is still no disturbance of any resource area. That's why we're filing it as an RDA.
What sort of machinery is going to remove the decking and the steel beams?
Well, the decking would probably be unbolted and removed by hand and put in probably a loader bucket. The steel beams would be unbolted from the concrete abutments and probably removed with a small crane. And then the reverse order would be the same. They would crane in the 2 new steel girders, and then they would drop the new wood decking. I believe they're like 4x6 tongue and groove lumber that gets bolted to the new flanges of the new steel beams.
This can all be done from the present roadway?
Yes.
The present roadway is gravel?
No, it's paved.
No, the roadway is bituminous up to the wood decking of the bridge.
And you feel the road is sufficient to handle this heavier equipment?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, it's not, they're not huge girders. Again, it only spans 20 feet. And it's only 10 foot wide. So it's a single lane bridge. And basically, it's just a replacing kind what's there with obviously new wood and galvanized steel. Right now, the steel is just flaking off. Again, they could try to salvage the steel, but at this point, it still wouldn't give the structural stability of the original bridge. And again, we said it's down like 30% capacity. It will not handle the large fire trucks from Stockbridge. That's their main concern, is safety.
What's the width of this bridge?
10 feet.
10 feet. Yeah.
Site visit.
You better be a good driver.
So where do you talk about erosion control?
Erosion controls are going to be up to both abutments on both sides, off the roadways, just as a precautionary measure. Again, it's not gravel road, it's bituminous. I guess it would be for anything or anyone that parks on the side of the road to make sure that there's no erosion going down to the embankments.
But do you say what the erosion controls are?
The erosion controls are, yeah, they're the fiber rolls strung along each side of each road on each abutment, both sides of the bridge.
Can we see this?
Yeah. What's gonna be the capacity of this bridge?
The capacity, let me just look at our structural. The new capacity, I believe, will be 25 tons and will take 27,000 pounds per axle, which would accommodate the largest fire equipment that Stockbridge currently owns.
Did the fire chief ever look at that bridge and say whether he would let a truck roll over it, even if it was in its pristine condition?
I am not sure if that is then put forward to the Stockbridge Fire Department. We do know what their largest capacity truck is. Our structural people did have discussions with them to come up with their report. They did a full report prior to our filing any of this RDA stuff. And again, they know 27,000 pounds per axle, 25 tons. They did their research when they did this. It wasn't just kind of helter-skelter, just to slap down some steel. They did make sure that it would hold the largest piece of fire equipment that Stockbridge has.
Can we get a report from the fire chief?
Can you?
Yes. Because if it isn't acceptable to the fire chief and the purpose is to make this bridge accessible to the fire engines, then there's not much point.
Have you talked to the fire chief in person, someone?
I have not talked to the fire chief. I don't know. I gotta believe that our structural people did, but I don't have a record of that.
Will you provide us with a record of that or a record of some
I can
future
make a call and
conversation?
find out.
You certainly can.
I would like to see something from the fire chief saying that this is great.
Right, and we're gonna need a site visit.
And
That would be great.
one last question. Did the applicant own the land before August 1996?
Yes, the bridge was built in 85.
But it's
And
owned
yes.
by the same, okay.
I can see the fire chief tomorrow.
You want the fire chief to look at it first before you schedule a site visit?
Yeah, we'll take him up a set of these plans. We have extra set. All right, we're gonna deliver a set of these to the fire chief.
Okay.
Let him voice an opinion. Then we need to go look at it ourselves. Monday's kind of late to go to a second site visit. We can't get everybody there because we're pushing the envelope at 3:30 to get people from work from there. How many, is there anybody besides myself and John that can get there at, say, 3 o'clock at this site?
I can probably get there at 3 o'clock.
I can get there at 3.
If I'm not
All right,
there,
3 o'clock on Monday.
yeah, if
3
I'm not,
o'clock Monday?
Yeah,
Very good.
maybe we bring the fire chief too.
That would be even better.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
To sign,
I'm still conflicted about whether this should be filed under a
that's what I want to say.
intent. Like,
I think it should be another
we'll look
line.
at it.
I can't imagine, I mean, we don't have Mark Stinson's weigh in on this without the notice of intent filing. It seems to me it's crossing a river in an extremely sensitive
significance, yeah.
area.
I mean, I think there's a good chance a fire engine can't even get down across the bridge and
No.
even consider turning around and getting back out again, so.
I mean, if the bridge can hold the fire truck, that doesn't mean that it's a.
The fire truck can get to the
They can
bridge,
get there and turn around and, get.
Yeah.
but that's really not us, it's them and the insurance people.
Yeah, but I mean, if the purpose of this is to make this bridge accessible for the fire department for safety reasons, then if it's not, then,
The bridge needs to be
It's not the
redone.
purpose of it. It's to build an exact same size bridge that there is now, but the current one is deteriorated to the point where they feel like a hill, that fire truck
It's too small.
but if the fire truck can't get to the.
We're just looking,
Also not comfortable with
do what they wanted to
just
do
shows this little.
and not have to come back to us again.
No, I'm not defending them, I'm just telling you, like, they're basically, it's tiny, like, it's really narrow.
10 foot wide.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit.
And maybe you only need 2 tires at a time to go across it, and the other 2.
So the issue I think here is that, is a 10-foot wide bridge being reconstructed as a 10-foot wide bridge going to cut it with DFD? And if it doesn't, then they're going to have to come back to us all over again with a whole.
Oh, that's,
plan.
yeah.
The engineer's report that says it does not support an ordinary car or a pickup truck.
Marie? Hey, I need to have a little conversation with you about some paperwork.
About what?
Some paperwork. Can you call me tomorrow?
Sure. Yep, I can call you.
822-0444.
Just give it to the world.
The spam world is going to be all over you.
You're gonna get a bunch of courtesy calls.
Did we get a sequence of work for this?
We did.
We did. Okay.
Archer's the swamp.
Yeah, we've been bitten so many times. The idea of letting this bridge go without a notice of intent is just,
So Mark can't review it you can only do it. So that's another reason for another.
I mean, it goes to him, but he doesn't review it. Which makes me very nervous.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Got that today. Right.
And you went to this?
Yes.
That's good.
This is high and dry. Right up near the road. It's got the garage with the funny wall on it. That one I haven't done here.
Signature? What happened to really being able to see what's in the thing and there's,
I have a jurisdictional for 96 East Main Street.
yeah, I was gonna go look at that today, but I'm sure I drove by it like 4 times and I forgot. I was going back.
Want to take a reminder?
Run out of ink.
No, I've got it stuck to my dashboard.
Okay. Let me know and I will do a drive-by again.
I was a little bit intrigued by the description of work that was in that request for us to go take a look at it.
This one?
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna.
Remove, replace.
Yep.
Replace with same size porch, repair, replace foundation.
No, but then you get into the details of how they're gonna do it. It's like,
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna look at
they're gonna pick up the house with a crane and leave it suspended while they do the whole work. It's mind boggling.
no idea. What else?
Let's,
Oh, wait a minute.
yeah, let's go through a couple of those. They've been there for a while.
Yeah, go back to where I was.
That's the official stuff. I said that was the official
That's- yeah.
stuff.
Nice Glen.
Like Yathrib,
That's Glen Road.
Yeah, the big house.
I sent you an email about that. We have the code to enter and inspect.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
All right. Give
Which
me a
I would
call when
like
you
to
wanna
do.
Give me a call,
We can do
whenever.
anytime.
So, as a citizen, what is your concern about the Erosion Road project?
Does he ever do the remediation?
That's what we were just saying. I got an email from Greg Wellenkamp saying that we can go and inspect it now. We have a code for the gate.
Performance standards
Which
haven't come back
brings me
yet.
to a point of, under the law, we can enter anytime we want to. So having a gated house is not cool. Just saying.
Are the gates closed?
And locked.
Jay's got ladders.
There weren't any large dogs that I noticed. But,
I got a big truck, but I just need a plow frame.
I mean, if they're gonna, I don't know. Anyway,
It's the most expensive house in the whole town. Assessed-wise.
Really?
It's that over 5 million, you get a gate.
Comes with the house?
it still doesn't mean that we can access it any time that we want to, which is not cool.
All right, other business. Performance standards haven't come back from the lawyers yet.
Can we individually get copies of that when it does come back?
Yeah.
I mean,
We're gonna review it again, and then if there's any,
via email, I mean, so before we sit down here, we have some idea what's saying.
I imagine.
I'd like that.
Is there, can we ask?
It's actually, I talked to Michael today about it. You
Yeah.
probably got a price quote. It's moving forward right now.
Okay, good, thank you.
Now, I assume that the reason the performance standards haven't come back to us is because of town attorney reviewing it.
Correct.
There was some confusion about whether you wanted to do the draft orders, you wanted her to do her draft, try to work stuff in. you know, it was pretty, you know, just the way to get a quote, because the select board, because it was not in the retainer, we had to get a quote in because it involves spending additional money and nothing this other on it. There's just a million different ones.
Okay, so she's reviewing.
There was nothing like, you know, untoward.
Been any discussion about replacing town attorney?
You know, we're not talking about that.
19 Lakeview Drive.
That's the lawyer's gonna weigh in on that as well.
Oh, really? Because why? I'm just curious.
It's a tree, not a tree, I think that's.
Because they clear cut.
Yeah, it has to do with the fines.
So does the applicant know that?
Basically what this is, destroying.
I think that, Jackson was the one who came in and said anything under a foot was brush, right?
Yeah. Well, that's gonna be covered.
I think all birch trees are brush.
You can have an 80-foot tree if it's that.
That's the whole point, yeah.
Yeah.
So my question is, does the applicant know it's that the lawyer's?
Try and read it.
Well, that was my question. I mean, or does Jackson know that the lawyer's reviewing it?
I couldn't tell you that. They will shortly.
Okay.
Tree protection bylaw.
I put that on hold until we get the performance standards
Okay.
done.
Berkshire Theater drainage. I talked to Nick, whatever his last name is. Has too many O's and things in it.
What?
He's definitely Greek. Nick?
Yeah.
It's like paleo, the diet, and
But,
the
yeah.
logo's like, you know.
Told him where and what concerns we had. He said he was gonna go look at it. He would get back to me and we would go for a site visit or a discussion on what they can do. Well, I told him what what they can do and basically how they can do it. But that's up to them to determine if they're gonna try to do it in-house or with a contractor or whatever. Yeah.
But, you know, the detention, retention, whatever pond that they built doesn't take any drainage at all.
He's said he's been there since 2018. I don't know that either, but evidently that problem has
was
been
way
going on.
before that.
Yeah, it's been going on for a number of years, so he may not be aware. He is aware now. And 20 Mackinac Shores, I have not been down that way. Has anybody been down to see progress on that?
Hey, John.
Drive by.
Did not.
Afraid to though.
First rainstorm, we went there.
Any other business?
Yes,
Scenic Mountain.
fees and scenic
Came back here and we told them that.
and RDA. So our fee for scenic mountains is now $25. Which, you know, for an order of conditions and a review is not sufficient. We have to advertise it with the Eagle. And the same with RDA is 100.
I'm sorry, I missed the beginning of that.
So the fees that we charge for someone applying under scenic mountains is currently $25. And we have, I mean, if it's a notice of intent under scenic mountains, it's work. And we have to advertise it. And the advertisements in the Eagle are getting expensive.
Yeah.
And that just barely covers the fees to mail the orders of conditions once we've,
So
which are almost $8 a piece now.
Do we as a board set the fees or do we have to get some
Yes.
sort of?
I think we do. I'd make, if your costs have gone up, because that funds a lot of other things like, you know, projects. If your costs have gone up significantly, I would make sure your fees keep up with the costs across the board, not just here.
But
Right.
do we need to step out of this room to do that in terms of another board, or can we do that amongst ourselves?
I don't know, I believe, I could be wrong.
We have the right to set our fees, I believe.
All right. Most town fees are set by the select board, by this board, I just, you know, either way, I would check with Michael or Donna.
All right, we'll check with him.
Why don't we make a suggestion and present it?
Yeah.
But I would, you know, if it used to be 25 and you were charging 100 and now it's 80 and you're charging 100, you know, don't just limit it to scenic mountains, is my point.
Right. Well, you know, scenic mountains, if somebody's filing a notice of intent under scenic mountains, the scenic mountains fees that we get from the Wetlands Protection Act are like 250. Or more, depending on the project. And for the RDA, we've been charging 100. One of the things that we need to look at is how much does it cost us to advertise?
So unfortunately, sometimes the amount of the fees are in the bylaw. Has everybody checked the?
It's not.
They're not, okay.
I think that it's supposed to mirror the Wetlands Protection Act procedures.
Yeah, it's not specified in the bylaw.
And scenic mountains isn't in wetlands protection,
Right.
so it wouldn't be there. It's separate.
No, but it was proposed to be handled by us and use the Wetlands
Using
Protection
that as the
Act.
guideline.
But we don't have to, they don't have to pay DEP for a scenic mountains filing. There's a whole formula for filing a notice of intent that's all spelled out in the regulations. But part of that is that they have to pay a certain, depending on the project, they have to pay a certain amount to DEP and a certain amount to the town. But they don't have to pay DEP for a scenic mountains filing.
So what's reasonable for scenic mountains?
What if you made it half the
I don't know.
filing?
I don't know. So we have to think about it.
I don't know that.
Yes.
I think we need to do a survey. I don't know if you guys know local abutting towns chairman, but it'd be helpful to know which towns in driving distance already have conservation agents, because they're the towns that then Michael could approach about sort of doing a shared services on a conservation agent. I think that the first step is to just do a quick survey. Two types. One, who doesn't have one? I've heard that maybe that's West Stockbridge and Lee, possibly, but I don't know. And if they do have one, do those towns have any capacity where they could add us to the shared services agreement? But I don't, you know, so like someone's got to call these, you know,
Great Barrington does. Great Barrington does. Richmond does. And I think that's Shep, and I think Beckett does. I'm pretty sure Beckett does too. I don't think.
Kind of, you know, we're coming up on budget season, so if this is something that is a priority, you know.
Yeah.
Just.
No, I would very much be in favor of having a conservation agent.
Yeah.
So if it's something we're in agreement, how do we?
Just, I think information helps. So these three towns don't have one, so there's two tracks we're gonna go. Could we add it to a coalition of towns that already use one if they have capacity? Or could we do a new coalition with towns that don't have one? There's really two ways to do it. Yeah, we don't need someone full-time ourselves probably.
Yeah, and I don't know how many towns you want to get into a coalition before you overtax
Right.
or neglect the
I don't know.
services that you need from this person.
Because one of the things that Mark Stenson said, that for a town our size, we have an awful lot of filings.
Yeah, but there's a lot of different ways, like at Tri-Town Health, the amount of cases the prior year determines what the percentages that each town pays. So there's like formulas you can come up with that are fair. So even if we have more work than a town we go to partnership with, it's not like if there's three towns, they all have to pay 33%. The more work could pay 45%, you know?
It's like the regional school system.
Yeah, sort of like, well, we're paying double that.
That works well.
And that
So
would,
do you know what the fee is in Great Barrington for scenic mountains?
I don't, but I can find out.
Okay. It's $25 to just cut it.
Yeah, I'll find out. He should call Shep and talk to him.
Well, I've got about a billion things going on, so I just would love if somebody took this on, and I'd be happy to talk to you offline about kind of what the next steps are. But, you know, it's like, we're just about to enter the season where it gets decided what the budget is. So
the question is.
All right.
And you're both in favor.
To be our conservation.
I got a question.
We got a bill from Tom Coop about what?
Marie had her hand in the air.
Marie?
You're muted, Marie.
I was just gonna say, I know that Beckett just hired a really nice young man to be part-time conservation agent. I don't know how many days he works, but he's new at that job there. Nice guy. That's all.
Thank you, Marie.
We got a bill from Tom Coop for his most recent lake study. It was for $1,400. And that money's gonna come from our Wetlands Protection Act funds, the fees of which have been going into it for quite a few years, and we haven't really touched it. There's over $20,000 in
You found
funds,
it.
and that's the account number.
Oh, yay.
It was a search,
Not bad.
because nobody we hadn't used it before.
We had used it though,
Well,
so
it's
how
all
is it
new
nobody
people.
knew?
It's all new people.
Didn't we buy you a laptop somewhere when we went?
Did. Which
We
is,
use it to
That's
do
town hall.
the pond survey.
Okay,
All the prompts, but that's his cell.
Which,
I thought we did too.
thank you.
Yeah.
Or mowing of, like Tanglewood, what's that?
Yeah, we used it for the Lily Pond survey. Theoretically, we used it for,
Falker Woods or mowing up there?
what is it you said?
Or didn't we do it for mowing with Gary
Yeah,
Johnson?
the mowing of
That's funded through our Concom budget.
Uh,
oh, okay. So that's
Different.
town.
different account.
I don't know if we could use it for that, to be truthful with you.
Mowing? No, we can't. It's not upholding the wetlands. The only thing that we can use it for is upholding the Wetlands Protection Act, which a survey of the town
Well, both of those
resources is definitely.
towns are not using it.
Can you use some of them for that?
For what?
There's also grants for that, by the way, too. Getting rid of those phragmites like by the causeway. A giant stand.
Has it ever been treated?
What?
Has it ever been treated?
I don't believe so. But it's a sort of an eyesore and it's a little bit of a verify, I think.
No,
But
it's bad. Can we go back to the bridge just for a second? Is it possible to ask Mark Stinson? I mean, what this guy said was, we're not going to harm the resource area. We don't know that. Is it possible to ask him whether it should be an NOI just because it's right across the river?
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, if it says rusted and in such bad repair, they're gonna have to cut all those, they can't just,
Right.
loosen all the bolts, they're gonna have to cut everything, so there's gonna be a lot of work right over that
Yeah,
river.
that's what I think.
Yeah,
How are they
it's not like you're gonna unscrew some nuts and bolts.
Yeah,
There's that kind of shit.
How are they protecting the river from anything falling in it? That,
impossible.
I can't say that I saw that. When we permitted whatever it was, the work up on Campusa Brook years ago, they had to have netting and they had to have all kind, and the same thing when they, when they did the boathouse on the west side of the lake, there was a whole process for protecting the lake against what might fall in it while they were doing the work.
The water wheel, right, John?
Yeah, the water wheel.
So there's more to it than meets the eye for sure.
I do not feel comfortable.
Yeah, no,
This is an RDA.
I would like it to be an NOI. You could ask him.
We could just say we're not comfortable with it as an RDA and we want you to file a notice of intent. I mean, that is one of the provisions of the RDA. Is that we don't feel that it can be legitimately, okay, so one of the things that you can say is a positive determination. The area described on the reference plans is in an area subject to protection of the act. Removing, filling, dredging, or altering of that area requires filing of a notice of intent.
His response was that they won't be disturbing anything, but we'll see it because I think that's not likely.
So that, I mean, that's one of the determinations that you make when you file a determination of applicability, is that it's not, it can't be petitioned under without a filing of a notice of intent.
I'm gonna put this 96 East Main Street back in the
I don't
Concom.
pick it out, I just go.
Yeah, well, if we do, just go,
I come back and I sign it.
exactly, yeah.
Is it the greenhouse that was covered with vines?
Haven't been down there yet.
I have a question. Back to the Housatonic Road. Was it left that we were going to notify them before they can?
I talked to them a couple of times, or I emailed them a couple of times, and they were supposed to get back to us, but they didn't.
But in the meantime, it looks like they treated, right?
I don't know.
Well, if you go down Cherry Street and look both ways, it kind of looks like it.
I don't know if we need to follow up with them on that or for future treatments or not. I mean, it's to travel the tracks with them, it's a little enjoyable. So, and I think we should continue to do it just so they don't have a blank check to treat whenever they feel like it's
I agree.
time.
I have the contact information. I'll get in touch with them. Again.
Let's see if we-
Yeah, and if they want it, so,
The guy that comes here all the time from DEP. The Indian guy.
From the, yeah. I can't remember his name.
so,
Yes,
if they do want to meet, the place to meet is the rail crossing across from John's Garage in Housatonic. That's about the best way to identify where that's going to happen, because there's a bunch of other places where you can meet. And if he goes to one place and we go to another place,
No, so I got on with them there and got off in Lee.
right. Well, that's what I did for years, but I mean, it's like, I don't know why it didn't show
You
up.
don't get to see that very often.
You go on a train or on a car that was on the tracks or something, truck or?
That was a truck, pickup. And it was like
God, I can't remember his name.
rammed into this thing,
Remember the last time they were
or
here.
railroad car.
Any other business to be dealt with tonight?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Patrick, hold up.
So,